are in Coffin Bay today, arrived yesterday. Just camped in the Coffin Bay campground. Actually see our van just over there. And this morning we're booked into the Coffin Bay oyster shucking tour. Here we go, welcome over to the Oyster Leith. Don't we look attractive?
So what we're going to do, we're going to hold the flat side of the oyster facing up. The hinge of the oyster is going to go in our hand. Okay. And then that we're going to hold down on the table. So if we're looking at this oyster like it's a clock, the top up here would be 12 o'clock. By my thumb would be 3 o'clock. And then this hinge would be 6 o'clock. So 12, 3, and 6. We're going to try to get the tip of our blade into the lip of the oyster somewhere between 12 and 3. So when I'm going into this, I'm thinking about keeping my blade kind of at the same angle as that bottom shell at first, just so I can kind of slip on in there where that oyster would be opening naturally. And this is the part where we really want to be holding it down on the table. Once we get our knife into the oyster, we're going to press down so that it is now in line with the top shell instead of the bottom shell. And then we're going to slide our knife all the way into the oyster as far as it will go. At this point, if you want to lift the oyster off the table, it's now safe to do so, especially because for the second step, try not to drop the knife at you, especially because for that second step, we're going to want to make sure that our thumb is out of the way, because we're going to be pulling that blade towards our body, right, just like that. So you can see that it's popped open. What we're doing essentially here is we are scraping the top of our knife along that top shell to cut this muscle that sits right here. And you'll see the muscle, right? So we're basically just sliding that blade across it. So as you're getting your knife in, you want the sharp part of the blade to be facing you, which is a bit counterintuitive, but it helps you cut that muscle. Once we've done that, we can just pry our oyster open with our hands. And then we want to make sure to get all of that nice oyster down into the bottom shell before we pry that top shell all the way off. So we're just scraping it all the way down. Then you can pry that top shell right off. And at this point, we're going to give it a nice rinse in the water. If you were doing this at home, you could rinse it just in a bucket of fresh water. But since we've got the ocean here for our personal assistant, we're going to use it. Now you can see that I did not lose the oyster when I just rinsed it in the water. The reason for that is that there's a muscle that sits right here in this bottom shell that holds the oyster into the shell. So all we have to do is cut through that muscle, and our oyster is ready and free. Now, if we want to make it look really fancy, like it's in a restaurant, what we're going to do is give it a nice little flip. And your oyster's ready to go.
How long does it take normally? Someone who's really good at this.
So we actually have a guy whose entire job is shucking oysters for the restaurant. And he does about 1,000 oysters a day.
Right.
And his shifts are 7 hours long.
Okay.
So he's quite speedy. He can get through like 2 or 3 in a minute, but you know, he also has to like package them and stuff. So.
What happens? What do you do after that?
All right. So the knife is in. So what you're doing is you're aiming for that muscle there. So you want to pull the blade towards that muscle so that you can cut it.
Oh, that's right.
There you go. And so now that it's popped open, you can just pry it open with your hands.
Yum.
Yeah.
We eat it whenever we want.
Whenever you want. Yeah.
Now
I'm not stopping you.
Now I rinse it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you rinse it. I do have, so obviously there's the lemon. If you want some Tabasco, I have some Tabasco as well. Do you not like oysters? Well, I
Don't you
mean...
like oysters? That's hilarious.
Okay.
See if they're fun.
Well, Well, if you like Tabasco, I do think people tend to enjoy it. What do you think?
It actually wasn't as bad as I thought.
See? And this is definitely like the place to eat an oyster. You know, like I think I've been spoiled now. Like I don't know how I'm supposed to eat oysters anywhere else anymore.
Delicious.
Yeah, the unexpected drawback of this job is really like oh, my life is so hard. I get to eat really nice oysters.
Come on. Hey, we're at the Coffin Bay National Park this morning, so just going to head in there and have a look. Going to the Golden Island Lookout first, and yeah, then we might check out some other beaches in there. There might be a bit of all-wheel driving on the sand today. Anyway, this is the entry. Let's head in. This is Clayton's Lookout on the way in. Coffin Bay National Park. Beautiful day, not much wind at the moment. Golden Island Lookout. What a perfect day to be out here, only a slight breeze. Wandering down to check out Golden Island Beach. Look at that, pristine. Another spectacular view, Golden Island. Just talking to another couple there. They said it's better than the Great Ocean Road and no crowds. Incredible scenery down here. This is Lake Jessie. A little bit of sand driving. We've driven to a place called Farm Beach today. It's only about 30 k's north of Coffin Bay where we were last night, and we've just taken a drive out to what's called Gallipoli Beach, which is where they filmed the movie Gallipoli back in 1981, gosh, 43 years ago. And you can see why they used this site. Yeah, craggy cliffs. I don't know how close it is to Gallipoli, but looks pretty intimidating if you would have landed on a beach like this. Well, we'll go down and have a look. Gosh, the real Gallipoli's anything like this. I don't know how any of them survived. They So we're down here on Farm Beach now, just went for a drive up the beach. Not a lot of people here, but pity the wind's blowing. Otherwise we've been nice for a swim. Walker's Rock campground, and blowing a bit of a gale. I was sick of the wind a bit, but I mean pretty coastline if the wind wasn't blowing so hard. Good morning, we're just on the way to Streaky Bay today, trying to escape some of the wind. So just left Walker's Rock campground, and not far down the road is this self-service bakery, Colton Baked Bread and Goods, and it's just a self-service honesty system. Choose your bread or fruit roll like we've bought, and put your money in the box. Another little stop along the way to Streaky Bay. This is called Murphy's Haystack. Now these are granite Inselbergs they're called, and named Murphy's Haystacks just because of the property that we're on. We're on the Cape Bower Loop Drive this morning, out of Streaky Bay, 38-kilometre loop, and we've just pulled up at Halley's Beach. Halley's Beach. This is a nice lookout. Hey, we're on the Westall Loop Trail, Streaky Bay this afternoon, and some spectacular scenery around here as well. Right, we've made our way to Smoky Bay today, and we've just gone for a drive out to Point Brown. And there's some free camping out here. Did consider camping out here, but maybe Lucy's glad we didn't. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a look as we drive around. This is called the Beach Ledge area, which you can free camp at, but it's pretty windswept, dusty place, pretty wild looking place.
Wild beach.
And the wind is pretty good at the moment. I imagine what it'll be like. Can you imagine what it'll be like when the wind comes up?
I think it's nice, isn't it?
Nice and close to the edge.
Mm.
Well, that was a bit of a wild ride, wasn't it, Lucy?
Yes, just a little bit.
A bit scary.
Scary.
Let's have a look.
Aged 10 years.
Point Brown. There's a bit of a gnarly section through here. There's a big sloped left corner here.
Hope the truck doesn't tip
Hang on,
over.
Lucy.
I'm leaning to the right so it balances it out.
Oh. There we go.